GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action.
Good evening. Mayor Johnson is pressing Illinois lawmakers for a $150 million boost to Chicago schools, while the annual Duck Derby splashes rubber ducks into the river for Special Olympics. Expect scattered showers tomorrow and heavy Route 53 traffic after a major crash. Miles, what do you make of that?
The Chicago Duck Derby launches Saturday at the museum campus, releasing nearly 3,000 rubber ducks into Lake Michigan to support Special Olympics youth programs.
Families can register their ducks online through the official website, with entry fees covering duck kits, race bibs, and a commemorative T-shirt for each participant.
The race follows a 10-minute circuit along the shoreline, with volunteers cheering at each checkpoint and the winning duck's owner receiving a $500 prize donated by local sponsors.
The community's excitement builds as the ducks splash, families gather, and photographers line the lakefront. Lots to get to, let's begin. Here are our top stories. Mayor Brandon Johnson is urging the Illinois General Assembly to release $150 million for Chicago public schools, citing a record $1 billion tax increment financing surplus set aside for the district. Roman Zabel has the full story.
Mayor Brandon Johnson stood outside City Hall today, pressing Illinois lawmakers for an immediate release of $150 million to shore up Chicago public schools. He pointed to a record $1 billion tax increment financing surplus the city has earmarked for education, along with a newly negotiated teacher's contract. Johnson warned that without state funding, the district faces a deepening budget gap that could disrupt classrooms and services. He urged the General Assembly to honor its commitment to fully fund public education, emphasizing that the funds are essential to keep schools stable and to honor the new contract with teachers. The mayor said the city will continue to advocate for the resources needed to support its students and staff. Roman Zabel, GMNA News, The Loop.
Tomorrow, the Chicago Duck Derby will splash the river with thousands of bright rubber ducks as part of its annual fundraiser for Special Olympics Illinois. Organizers will line up the ducks on the Michigan Avenue Bridge, then release them into the flowing water, letting participants sponsor each buoy for a chance at prizes. The Splash in the River event supports a program that serves over 24,000 athletes across the state, providing training, competition, and community opportunities. Officials said the Derby has become a beloved summer tradition, drawing crowds from the Loop to the near north side who watch the colorful flotilla drift downstream toward the museum campus. Proceeds from the duck sponsorships will flow directly into Special Olympics Illinois, helping fund equipment, travel, and coaching for the next season of competition nationwide.
Chicago police are searching for a suspect after a violent assault on a CTA Blue Line train near the Pulaski stop. At approximately 11:30 p.m. on July 22, a passenger punched another passenger in the face on the train traveling through the 500 block of South Pulaski in the Garfield Park neighborhood. The victim was taken to a local hospital, where doctors performed emergency surgery. The Chicago Police Department, in coordination with the Chicago Transit Authority, has launched an investigation and issued an alert to riders. Authorities are reviewing surveillance footage and asking anyone with information to come forward. The suspect has not been identified and no description has been released. The victim remains in critical condition after surgery. This incident follows a series of recent violent episodes on the city's public transit system, prompting heightened police alerts for commuter safety.
Chicago officials warn that fast-moving disturbances could produce repeated showers, storms, and possible severe weather Wednesday, according to the NBC5 storm team. Residents should stay alert for updates. Imani Whitfield has the full story.
Thunderheads are gathering over downtown on Wednesday, August 5th, and the NBC5 storm team just put out a warning that a series of fast-moving disturbances could roll through the city all day. Meteorologists say the air mass is unstable, so residents can expect repeated showers and thunderstorms, with a chance of isolated severe pockets. Because the systems are sprinting across the region, any rain should be brief, not lingering for hours. The forecast calls for several rounds of activity, each potentially bringing gusty winds and lightning. Authorities are urging people to stay alert as conditions shift throughout the afternoon and into the evening. The advisory covers the near north side through the south side, and the Loop already sees a darkening sky. Imani Whitfield, GMNA News, Loop.
An intensive 3-day artificial intelligence boot camp for Chicago high school students opens its doors this fall, offering a free hands-on introduction to the technology. The program is a partnership between the Mark Cuban Foundation and Youth Advocate Programs, Inc., and online registration is now available. The boot camp, part of a national series that launched in 2019, will be the first time it lands in the Windy City. Over the 3 days, participants will work through real-world AI projects, guided by industry mentors, and leave with practical skills that could shape future studies or careers. Organizers say the goal is to broaden access to cutting-edge tech for Chicago's youth, especially those who might not otherwise encounter such resources. Spots are limited, so interested students and parents are encouraged to sign up soon. Later we'll explore how the Chicago Foundation's rebrand to AMARA is boosting funding for Black-led groups. Plus more, we will be right back. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Welcome back. White Sox have reshaped their roster after the trade deadline, adding 4 new faces to the 26-man squad in a flurry of 7 moves. Pitcher Luis Castillo, acquired from the Seattle Mariners over the weekend, joins the staff with a 3.9 record and a 5.06 earned run average. The other 3 players, also brought in at the July 31st deadline, were slotted into the lineup as part of the same overhaul. Chicago's front office said the additions are aimed at bolstering depth heading into the final stretch of the season. The moves were announced earlier today, completing the post-deadline shuffle that began last week. Fans can now see the new pieces in action as the White Sox look to tighten their rotation and improve results in the coming weeks.
Grand Victoria Foundation has officially rebranded as a movement advancing repair and abundance, or AMARA, shifting its grant focus to Black-led organizations as part of a broader commitment to racial justice. Imani Whitfield has the full story.
At a press gathering downtown, the Grand Victoria Foundation unveiled its new name, a movement advancing repair and abundance, or AMARA. The rebrand comes with a shift in grant strategy, directing the bulk of its upcoming funding toward organizations led by Black communities across the city. Foundation officials said the change reinforces a long-standing pledge to racial justice, especially as federal policies under the Trump administration have been pulling back diversity, equity, and inclusion requirements in corporations, foundations, and universities. The announcement was made on August 4, 2026, and the board indicated that future award cycles will prioritize projects that address systemic inequities. Imani Whitfield, GMNA News, Chicago.
Tonight, crews are already at work restoring Grant Park after the 4-day Lollapalooza festival wrapped up this afternoon. More than 100,000 festival goers flooded the downtown green space, and a bout of heavy rain left litter, mud and debris scattered across the lawns and pathways. The city's sanitation department, assisted by private contractors, has deployed dozens of trucks and dozens of workers to clear stage structures, remove trash and pump water from low-lying areas. Officials say the cleanup will continue through the weekend to return the park to its usual condition before the next public event. The effort follows the festival's final night performances, which concluded with the dismantling of the main stages. City leaders emphasized that restoring the park promptly is essential for the community and for upcoming summer activities.
Advocates are pressing city officials to reopen 2 safety net hospitals that were shuttered earlier this year. The groups say the closures have left thousands of low-income residents without a nearby source of emergency and routine care, forcing longer trips to the nearest trauma centers. They are staging rallies at City Hall and filing petitions with the health department, demanding that the state allocate emergency funding to bring the facilities back online. Hospital leaders in the Chicago region warned that without immediate action, patient backlogs could grow and already overburdened clinics may face further strain. The campaign has gained support from local clergy, community boards, and several members of the city council, who have pledged to bring the issue to the next budget hearing. The effort continues as organizers plan additional demonstrations this week.
After a string of tornadoes knocked out power for thousands across Chicago's western, southwestern, and southern suburbs, Hazel Crest residents gathered to share resources and begin cleanup. Grady Sokolowski has the full story.
Power lines lie twisted across the street as residents of Hazel Crest gather on the sidewalks, sharing flashlights and portable generators. After a string of tornadoes ripped through Chicago's west, southwest, and south suburbs last week, thousands remain without electricity. Neighbors have set up communal kitchens in the park, cooking meals over grills while volunteers hand out bottled water and clear fallen branches from driveways. The local fire department distributes battery-powered lights, and a neighborhood association posted a list of homes still in need of assistance. By evening, volunteers are still shoveling debris, restoring access to blocked roads, and checking on elderly families. The community's effort turns a night of darkness into a coordinated cleanup. Grady Sokolowski, GMNA News, Hazel Crest.
Let's get a look at your evening forecast with our meteorologist and see what's coming.
A stubborn ridge over the Great Lakes locks in heat, while the western jet brushes Chicago's fringe. On this date, Chicago once scorched to 90 degrees in 2016, a peak that rode a late summer heat wave across the Midwest. The opposite extreme fell to 57 degrees in 2019, when a polar vortex dip forced an early season cold snap. Normal high for early August hovers around 84, with lows near 70. So today's 81-degree reading sits comfortably between those historic marks, reminding us how the current ridge compares to past outliers. The pressure field remains neutral, allowing the ridge to persist without sudden disruption. The live radar is a blank canvas across the Lake Michigan basin and the city proper. No rain echoes back from the west, and the western jet at roughly 37 miles per hour is steering any lingering moisture far north of the forecast area. With pressure holding steady, the atmosphere is too stable to generate convection. Expect the clear pattern to hold through the night, then we pivot to tonight's outlook. At 6 p.m., the sky remains clear, and the temperature sits at 81 degrees with a comfortable humidity of 66%. A gentle southerly breeze brushes the lakefront at 7 miles per hour, barely noticeable against the broader western jet stream moving at roughly 37 miles per hour aloft. Pressure is neutral and holding steady, keeping the ridge anchored over the region and suppressing any lift that could spark showers. Sunset will slip behind the horizon at 8:05, while the UV index holds at 7. Wind gusts may peak at 9 miles per hour from the south, but feel is light. No weather alerts are in effect, allowing residents to focus on the evening ahead. With the atmosphere locked in this quiet mode, we now turn to the 5-day outlook. Wednesday brings a modest dip as cloud cover spreads, keeping highs near 81 and lows around 70. The overcast mantle limits daytime heating, a direct result of a weak cold front nudging the ridge from the north. Thursday sharpens back to clear skies, with a high of 75 and a low of 68, as the western jet reinforces the high pressure and the air dries out. Friday rebounds to 82 degrees under another clear spell, the ridge strengthening again. Saturday steadies at 77 with a comfortable low of 70, while the atmosphere remains tranquil. Sunday closes the week with a rise to 84 and a low of 72, mostly clear and hinting at another brief ridge before the next system arrives. The sequence offers a stretch of sunshine punctuated by an overcast day, giving residents a pattern to plan around. And that's your weather. Remember, the local sunset is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Amazon Music or wherever you get your podcasts.
Up next, we break down today's traffic snarls, dive into the Cubs trade grades, and preview Kava's new Schaumburg spot. We will be right back. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes, the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Route 53 South Chicago Street is closed after a major crash between West Breen Road and West Noel Road. Expect all lanes blocked and traffic diverted onto North-South Road and the Dan Ryan Expressway. The closure will ripple through South Side neighborhoods and add at least 15 minutes to trips toward the loop. In the downtown core, the loop elevated lines are offline for State and Lake Station reconstruction, suspending service on the Washington, Adams, and Clark corridors. Drivers should use the nearby Lake Street underpass or shift onto the Eisenhower Expressway to bypass the gap. CTA's Blue Line is running on single track between Rosemont and O'Hare, creating short boarding delays, and a boarding change persists between Western on the Forest Park branch and Pulaski. Aside from those issues, most arterial streets and the Kennedy and Dan Ryan remain clear this afternoon.
The Chicago Air and Water Show is soaring over the lake this weekend. With daring pilots and splash-filled performances along the shoreline, it's the perfect excuse to grab a blanket, a hot dog, and a front-row view of the city's most spectacular summer spectacle. Ariana Grande's Eternal Sunshine Tour lands here for 3 nights, filling the United Center with chart-topping hits and high-energy choreography. Fans will get a chance to sing along to every anthem in a stadium that feels like a living, breathing pop party. Jill Scott brings her timeless black soul to the Chicago Theater on Thursday, August 20th, Saturday, August 22nd, and Sunday, August 23rd. Her smooth vocals and storytelling will remind us why the South Side's own voice still moves the whole city. And if you're looking for something a little quieter, the Driehaus Museum is hosting Ink and Outrage, an exhibition of 18th-century satirical prints from London and Dublin that runs through September 13th, a witty glimpse into the past that still feels oddly relevant today. And now here's Theo with sports.
Cubs trade deadline buzz, roster shake-up, and a wild comeback against the Dodgers. The Cubs' front office spent the deadline bolstering a battered rotation and adding right-handed depth off the bench, delivering a fresh look for Chicago. Those acquisitions aim to steady the staff and give manager a more versatile lineup, a crucial step as the stretch run looms. Fans predicted Jade Hoyer would pull exactly 2 deals at the deadline, according to the latest SB Nation Reacts poll. That expectation set a benchmark for the front office, and the actual haul will now be measured against those 2-deal hopes as Chicago evaluates its new pieces. Post-deadline, the Cubs' rotation reshapes around Colin Rea, Matthew Boyd, Shota Imanaga, and Jameson Tail, signaling a blend of veteran steadiness and fresh arms. The added pieces tighten the staff, giving Hoyer flexibility to ride the rotation deeper into the final weeks. In Game 1-1-3 against Los Angeles, Kevin Alcantara earned superhero status with a .234 WPA, sparking Chicago's 10-run outburst. Carson Kelly's .173 WPA home run added firepower, showing the new right-handed depth can swing games when the Cubs need a lift. After falling behind 3-0 early, the Cubs rallied behind Matthew Boyd's steady work into the 7th, and a 4-home run barrage from Seiya Suzuki, Kevin Alcantara, Carson Kelly, and Michael Busch. The comeback not only erased the deficit, but also underscored the depth added at the deadline. The Skubal trade sparked chatter, but the hidden piece was Detroit's demand for a starter to slot into Chicago's rotation. With River Ryan poised to fill that role once healthy, the Cubs now have an extra arm, potentially reshaping the depth chart and giving Hoyer more flexibility down the stretch.
Cava, the Mediterranean fast casual chain, is set to open its 15th Chicago area restaurant in Schaumburg this fall, adding a new gathering spot to the bustling northwest side. The 5,000 square foot space will serve build-your-own bowls, grilled kebabs, and seasonal small plates, all sourced from local farms whenever possible. The opening follows a broader national rollout that sees Kava bringing its fresh, health-focused menu to neighborhoods that have long craved more affordable, globally inspired options. For Chicagoans, it means another place to meet after work, celebrate a weekend, or simply grab a quick, wholesome bite without a long commute. It's businesses like Kava that stitch together the diverse flavors of our city, one neighborhood at a time. Stay tuned as we reveal how a $150,000 National Trust grant will protect East Chicago's Modernist Church. We will be right back. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes, the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Welcome back. National Trust for Historic Preservation awarded a $150,000 grant to develop a restoration plan for St. Mark Methodist Episcopal Zion Church, the East Chicago landmark designed by Wendell Campbell. Delia Vasquez has the full story.
At the historic St. Mark African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church, a grant of $150,000 has just been awarded by the National Trust for Historic Preservation. The funding will be used to craft a detailed repair and restoration plan for the modernist building, a striking blend of neo-expressionist forms and 70s futuristic design. The church, conceived by pioneering Black architect Wendell Campbell, stands as a rare example of his work in East Chicago. Preservation specialists will soon be on site, surveying the concrete facade, stained glass windows, and interior spaces to prioritize structural fixes. The grant aims to safeguard the structure for future generations while honoring Campbell's legacy. Delia Vasquez, GMNA News, East Chicago.
Chicago police chiefs will appear before the City Council Tuesday to explain the origins and use of a traffic stop-to-search tactic that critics label dangerous and discriminatory. Roman Zabel has the full story.
Chicago police chiefs are set to appear before a City Council committee on Tuesday, answering questions about a controversial traffic stop-to-search tactic that has been used by officers citywide. The practice transforms routine vehicle pulls into full-scale searches, a method officials say was adapted from programs in other jurisdictions. Critics argue the approach endangers drivers and disproportionately targets minority communities, calling it both unsafe and discriminatory. During the hearing, department leaders will outline how the policy originated, how it is applied in the field, and what oversight mechanisms are in place. The testimony comes as community groups press for greater transparency and reform of stop and search procedures. Roman Zabel, GMNA News, Lincoln Park.
Thank you, Chicago, for joining us tonight. Tonight's look at Mayor Johnson's call for lawmakers to free $150 million for our schools reminded us why investing in education matters. We'll be back tomorrow with more stories that shape our city. Stay safe and see you then.